Welcome back to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex and today we're taking a look at my favourite survival experiences on the Nintendo Switch, a genre that boomed for entries in 2021, so hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family and let's get started. So Windbound to kick things off, and it's third-person survival, and notice while here on launch, the game was an absolute mess. My video, it was titled Windbound is broken after I gave up trying to beat it. Now why? Because of constant crashes that registered to the game as a death, and that is not good. It's a game with permadeath, so it kicked me back to the very beginning. My only option here was easy mode that allowed save points. Fortunately, since then the issue has been patched, it is now playable, and I'll give it this, it's a beautiful game, a Breath of the Wild-esque, and you'll explore a set of islands, light beacons, and progress towards a new location. It's got everything honestly genre fans will enjoy though: combat, resources, and crafting. There's even a boat to use to explore. It has issues though, that loop, it never evolves, just new beacons and locations that look the same, and the story, it is weak. It never really gave me any motivation. That said, I'd consider this still a good entry point to the genre. It's not too difficult, yet it has a good grasp of what makes it survival, so maybe consider it for that. Smoke and Sacrifice then, and this has by far one of the most unique stories on today's list. It's a top-down style viewpoint, and the story dark stuff. You have the only fertile patch of land for farming in this world, and they say that is thanks to your devotion to the Sun Tree, a god of sorts in this world. To maintain this relationship though, you go ahead and sacrifice your firstborn. It's dark stuff. Quickly though, after this you start to question this idea and uncover dark secrets and a hidden underworld. Go now and find out what happened to your son. It lacks permadeath, this one, more survival meets RPG if anything, but its story kept me moving forward, and it still gets a lot right for the genre fans out there. You know, combat, exploration of this open world, inventory management, and of course crafting. The Flame in the Flood then will be one for those looking for permadeath. That said, there's still an easier option with save points throughout if you want something where you feel that challenge, but not at the cost of your entire save file. The story though, the world is in pieces, you are out to survive by making your way down what is a procedurally generated river. There's also then an endless mode with no story at all. I just love the traversal of this one, the idea of your craft, and any game that gives you a pet dog, in my eyes, that is a winner. It is, however, extremely difficult, not only throwing the prospect of death your way, but the world, there's the options here to get sick or even starve. There's something incredibly motivating though about having your dog alongside you, I found. It gives you someone to care for outside of yourself, and they also then double up as a carrier of equipment. It's got a unique visual style as well. It's also this isometric perspective, and then the music, it's by a country singer I've never heard of personally, but I actually really enjoyed it. It's for sure in keeping with the world. Breath Edge then I really liked. Unfortunately though, that was about 66% of the experience. That's a weird way to start a breakdown, but that first 2/3 of this game, it is awesome. First person, survival in space after a freak accident occurs and your ship is now in pieces. From here it's all about exploration, finding resources, crafting, and trying now to find your way to safety. Love the space, that sci-fi theme. I love the 360-degree movement, and then the oxygen meter here was absolutely intense. Difficulty wise, you get everything from a story option which goes easy on you, no real need to monitor your stats all that much, but then you can even dial it up to permadeath as well. I went for the middle ground, that standard difficulty. That was tense but not too punishing. Where it fails though is, as you progress, you'll get the ability to upgrade your suit, move quicker, and you will reach a base of sorts. Here, the game for the last third, it turns into almost a first-person shooter, and it is weak. It loses all the magic of floating out there in space, and it devolves into a whole lot of like grey corridors, and yeah, it was almost tough to get through in the sense it was just kind of dull. That all said though, genre fans, I still think the first part was excellent. It just couldn't quite, close out the experience. The Survivalist is probably the game I've had the most fun with on today's list. It's more forgiving than most, and it's honestly just a great starting point for those new to the genre. What elevated it for me though, the option for online play with friends where you can join their islands. You'll see from my review on the channel, it's in the pinned comment down below, the majority of my footage, it was captured in multiplayer because we got absolutely addicted. The idea, you're shipwrecked on an island, now you need to simply survive, but you can also uncover an endgame as well. You'll build this boat though, explore the surrounding area, you'll meet the locals who are for the most part less than friendly, you'll gather resources and you'll craft. It even has the occasional environmental puzzle and dungeon to take on. Attacks on your home from the locals, they can be a little frustrating, you'll need to be constantly rebuilding a lot, but there's no permadeath and it for sure captures the addictive nature of the genre. Also the simplistic top-down viewpoint, it really works, makes things nice and vivid in a genre that can so often be, dull colours and just incredibly dark. Green Hell then is a decent port. It's a visually demanding first-person survival game. It's throwing you into a jungle, meaning a whole lot of visual effects. Now, is it perfect on the Switch? Not at all, honestly. The visual downgrade at points, it broke my immersion, but it's still incredibly intense. It packs a story, and this one, it throws you into this world with your wife. You're interviewing a local tribe, and then she goes missing. Now get out there and find her. It packs multiple difficulty options though, including the ability to remove permadeath, and you'll be managing not only your health but energy, injuries and poison. This one's tough, the world is a hostile place, that is for sure, and the locals, if they're not attacking you, the wildlife will be. It's got some of the best building then out of any of the games on today's list as well. You'll be building up these structures from resources gathered, and the story, it's a simple setup but does enough to keep you pushing forward. It's a prime example also of how far a slightly more powerful Switch would go. Once you're finished with that story then as well, you can expect things like challenges built into the game. There's a ton of content here. Don't Starve then is a bit of a classic. Here you play as Wilson, a scientist that has been trapped by a demon and transported to this strange world. It's got a cartoon style that looks beautiful, but it's also at the same time really strong at capturing the creepy. Now the idea, find your way home, don't starve as the title suggests, and expect a hell of a challenge ahead of you. It is not an easy game at all. It has permadeath, but you can get around that a few different ways, and on the Switch, it even packs the Reign of Giants expansion, which introduces new characters, seasons, creatures, and biomes. Again though, unforgiving this one, but any genre fan should absolutely check it out. Another good option also would be a game by the name of Darkwoods. So we recently got Subnautica and Below Zero, the sequel, on the same day, and for today's list I'm going with the original entry. I just feel at the time it was more exciting and it played such a huge impact on the genre. Incredible port as well, like Breath Edge, this one's first person, but what makes it special, the 360-degree movement thanks to its underwater setting. You've crash landed though on an oceanic planet, the only company, an artificial intelligence, and as always you need to try to survive and get your way out of here. The ocean here though, a scary place, whether that's diving for resources, upgrading your suit, or facing the now famous, let's say, wildlife of this world. As you progress then, you'll be building bases, transportation options, and there's some truly incredible moments in here. No game on today's list matches the scale of some of these aquatic creatures. Difficulty wise finally, a few options like many today that impact your stats, from easy, which gives you health, oxygen, food and water meters to track, but then you get hardcore, which gives you no low oxygen warning, no meters and permadeath. Fantastic game though, and absolutely deserved of a high spot on today's list. The Long Dark then is by far my favourite first-person survival experience on the Nintendo Switch. It packs a straight survival mode as well as a story which doubles as almost, for me, a good introduction to the world of survival. The story though, you're helping someone get to Canada when a plane crash occurs. Now you need to find them in what is this incredible winter landscape. This landscape, it can kill you near instantly, and trust me on that, my first time loading up the game, I was dead within maybe 5 minutes. I absolutely froze. It has multiple difficulty options, at least for story and survival, though survival will always be permadeath. but it controls the wildlife and the resources and, the number you will see. I just enjoyed though the fact in the story there's a constant sense of forward progression, and there's even characters to meet. The final chapter has just been added though to the game. I need to head back in now and check it out. It was free to owners of the game though, and it looks fantastic visually on the Switch. Just don't judge the game from the opening few minutes. The airplane hangar, the visuals there, they are bad for sure, but once you get outside it is good stuff. There is also a known issue then at the end of chapter 1 where it won't progress the story. It didn't happen to me personally, but it's very easy to bypass, and you'll see options for that all over YouTube. A couple of quick honourable mentions then: Minecraft and Terraria that are celebrated for their survival modes. Minecraft as a release is one I've just never really jumped into that I need to check out. It seems survival there is pretty deep stuff, including permadeath. And then Terraria, I've played a decent chunk but not enough to get a full grasp of how the survival elements work. Let me know in the comments if you'd get behind either of these two options. This War of Mine Complete Edition then, it achieves one thing that many don't on this list. Not only is the survival intense, but it's emotionally intense as well. This game's concept: you are civilians caught in the ruins of war, you have no combat ability, and your survivor number, it will grow. The game's not only going to task you with gathering resources or creating almost think a stable micro-society, but it's also then going to throw questions at you that will absolutely stop you in your tracks, save yourself, save someone else. It's really, I'd describe it as emotionally draining. These civilians though, they can die permadeath of course, and it's got this stunning visual style as well, black and white, almost hand-drawn. Its ability to balance tough decisions with survival has earned it a spot as reading material for Poland's education system, and this will now be considered a classic for years to come. The Complete Edition then, in the name, it packs an anniversary update, 2 DLCs that pack more story content, and yeah, just overall again like a modern masterpiece. And that's my favourite survival experiences on the Switch. Let me know yours in the comments down below. With that then, like a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.